I'd like everyone to just take a moment and think about what the nature of your thoughts has been during the last few minutes. Just generally what they are, what they've been about, what they seem to be related to. You see, you have a built-in data sorting device that can look at all these things, and it's like a giant radar, and on that radar appear the dynamic energy of whatever it is that you're thinking about, all the points of view that appear on that radar screen. But you see, that radar screen is constant, and that radar is the radar of awareness. It's simply our awareness without any idea of a personal mind or anything else. In fact, the notion of a personal mind is just another point of view. It's just more dynamic energy on the radar screen of awareness. And that awareness, rather than being confined within the skin line of the body, is vast like infinite space. It has no limit, periphery, or center. So to know this awareness as oneself requires that one simply relax. Because if awareness is only looking at all the dynamic energy that's going on within it, then that's all that awareness sees. That's all awareness is. And when awareness is all wrapped up in its dynamic energies of points of view, then there's no ease, there's no rest, there's no relaxation. And in a very practical way, what that means is we have absolutely no discernment about anything that's going on either within us or outside us. Because there is just the constant involvement with certain kinds of points of view that are going on. And when there's involvement with only a small fragment of what is within all-inclusive awakened awareness, in other words, all-inclusive awakened awareness is all-inclusive. It includes all points of view. Vast like infinite space, no dimension or time anywhere, timelessly free, timelessly spacious, inclusive of absolutely everything that has ever occurred timelessly. So that means everything that has ever occurred, past, present, or future, is included within the expanse of awakened awareness, of all-inclusive awakened awareness. And we cannot taste that unless we relax. If we try to get involved in some kind of doing to make what already is happen, then we'll just be detoured away into more dynamic energy. We'll be cooking up more dynamic energy to try to see what's at the ground of all the dynamic energy. So this is why we can see really conclusively that intensive practices and methods, spiritual practices and methods that allege that they will lead to enlightenment don't. They may lead to enlightenment once in a while for a few people, but then very often what happens is we blame ourselves. We say, well, there's something wrong with me. I can't get enlightened. Somebody else can get enlightened, but I can't get enlightened, so there must be something wrong with me. I'm not doing these methods and practices right. So I'll either give up completely or I'll do them with a vengeance. I'll pour everything I have into this method or practices to try to fix myself and get awake. But you know, if we apply elementary discernment by just relaxing to the entire situation, what we can see is that the methods and practices don't work. We work just fine. We work just fine. All we are is awareness. The awareness is conclusively and definitively the underlying basis, ground, and essence of being of every single perception we have, no matter what it is. So we work just fine. And when we look at what's going on with just elementary discernment, we can see a couple of things. One, the matter of enlightenment is either overcomplicated or it's oversimplified. When it's overcomplicated, it is so laden with methods, practices, and all kinds of doing that needs to be done that there's just generation of more and more points of view, more and more dynamic energy that we're all wrapped up in. And even if we do attain some kind of non-conceptual state through those practices, a non-conceptual state is just an anomaly of point of view. It's just another point of view. Non-conceptual state without any points of view, that's another point of view. What is aware of a non-conceptual state? That's what we're talking about right here. What is aware is the constant in every perception, whether it's a perception of a non-conceptual state like nothingness, no self, no thought, the void, or even bliss or clarity, impartiality, neutrality. All these are simply extremes of point of view, but they are not, nor have they ever been, awakening. They may offer relief from mental concepts, but they're still within the purview of mental concepts or point of view. They're an anomaly. They're not the conventional point of view, but they are still a point of view. An oversimplification of enlightenment is, all there is consciousness. Everything is a spontaneous functioning of consciousness. So just do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. All your behavior is predestined. It's just all these blips on the screen. If you are totally out of control, that it doesn't matter. You can still be enlightened because habit patterns are just spontaneous functionings of consciousness. So this is an oversimplification, a gross oversimplification of enlightenment that is very prevalent today. But this oversimplification of enlightenment, again, it's some kind of a freedom from points of view or mental concepts, but it's not really enlightenment. The only way we can ever realize complete and total enlightenment for ourselves is to keep the focus entirely on ourselves, and in each moment of now, in other words, in each point of view, in each perception, realize the essence of that perception as our own vivid wakefulness. If we sit just for a moment and we watch a perception arise, what watches that perception arise is awareness. And the awareness is inseparable from the perception, like the color blue is inseparable from the sky. Nothing need be done about the dynamic energy of awareness. It's free in its own place. It's its own undoing. It vanishes naturally without a trace. When we maintain the vivid wakefulness that is the heart essence of every single point of view, then we know ourselves as we are. It's that simple. We know ourselves as we are. And there's no other way to realize who we are. We cannot force ourselves into a state that is some kind of a destination of total freedom, because who we are is completely beyond any kind of intellectual speculation. It's beyond any kind of destination or arrival at a state. Awareness, all-inclusive, pristine, awakened, immaculate, vast awareness, it doesn't have anything going on. It doesn't have anything to say about whether it is or it isn't, or this or that or anything else. It doesn't exclude anything. Everything is included within its purview. So when we rest naturally for short moments, repeated many times as the essence of each perception, then more and more we realize the freedom that is our natural state. Our natural state is complete ease, complete ease. And I'm not really talking about something where we just get to be a better person, or we get to be more relaxed, or we have a better psychology or anything like that. The more we relax, the more everything about us shifts. In other words, our thinking, our speaking, and our action, that have all been caught up in the idea of a personal identity or a personal self, when we relax more and more and realize ourselves to be this vastness of all-inclusive awakened awareness, we realize that there's something about our body, speech, and mind that is absolutely inherent to that awareness, but that we never knew when we were all wrapped up in points of view. And that is that the emanation of that totally pristine and pure awareness is one of beneficial intent. In other words, as we just relax, we find more and more that our thoughts, our actions, and our speech are about what will benefit the whole rather than what will benefit us. So it's very simple. We don't need anyone to tell us whether we're relaxed or not, or confirm it. We know. We don't need anyone to tell us what the nature of our thinking is, or our speaking, or our actions. We all know that. We don't need that confirmed by anyone else. No one can give us freedom, and no one can take it away either. And no one needs to confirm it for us. We know. We absolutely know. We know in each perception whether there's only the vivid wakefulness of the natural presence of that perception as awareness. We know that. We clearly know that. We know if we're all wrapped up in elaborating points of view or not. So when we rest naturally, we realize the essence of our being. We rest naturally without seeking anything, without describing anything, without needing to make up a big story about everything going on. We just let everything be as it is, just everything as it is. And the more we enjoy this ease of natural rest, the more we realize that we've always been totally free. We've always been totally free. We're not trying to get somewhere. And that there is absolutely no freedom. There is absolutely no freedom outside this freedom in immediate perception. Today, we hear so many stories about people who have awakened, they've been enlightened, and maybe they've been enlightened for years, and all of a sudden they're not enlightened anymore. You know, they have something that popped up, and it has all their attention now. Well, the reality of that is that the only freedom is this freedom in immediate perception. If we attempt to enter a state like emptiness or nothingness or whatever it is, maybe we can maintain that state for a certain period of time, but it's very likely there will be some kind of perception that comes up at some time that can't be dealt with. Because you see, we're never free of perception. We're never free of points of view. They're entirely unpredictable. The dynamic energy of awareness is the dynamic energy of awareness. It doesn't really even have anything to do with us as a personal identity. In no way does it. The personal identity, too, is the dynamic energy of awareness. So when we rest naturally, we know everything about what is. This discernment that may have been almost non-existent, it expands more and more. It always is, so it never really expands, but our direct experience of it is one of increasing marvel and wonder in each moment. So in freedom and immediate perception, there's no destination. There's no destination. There's just the vivid awakefulness as whatever is, without anything at all subtracted or added. There's no point of view that has ever existed elsewhere than awareness. No point of view whatsoever that has ever existed elsewhere than awareness. And there is no awakening, enlightenment, liberation, freedom, or even being truly human that is separate or apart from point of view. So if we're looking for awakening through getting rid of our points of view or getting better points of view, then we're never going to find it. We're never going to find it, because all points of view no matter what they are, exist as a vast expanse of equalness and evenness without differentiation or exclusion. So in that equalness, there is no differentiation whatsoever. Equalness is equalness, a single blissful expanse, a single compassionate expanse, a single wise expanse, a single loving expanse. And this is the reality of our own nature. And if we feel tense or uptight at all, it's only because we're not relaxing as awareness. When we relax as awareness, that tension dissolves. It expands into evenness. It expands into supreme awareness, unadulterated, unfettered by anything, always and forever untouched by everything, no matter what it is. When we realize this freedom in immediate perception, we're prepared for any perception. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be anything. It could be something so unexpected and untoward, something we never dreamt or imagined would happen. And when we have strengthened ourselves and familiarized ourselves with our true nature of awareness, of pristine awareness, then no matter what comes up, we're prepared for that. Otherwise, we might not be. Something might happen that we don't like, or it upsets us, or to one degree or another, maybe a personal thing, or maybe an enormous thing like 9/11 or the subway bombing in London, or all of these other things that go on, the war in Iraq, the wars occurring all over the world. Any of these things could happen for any of us, you know. Our bank accounts could all disappear within the next 5 minutes. So how about freedom in those perceptions? Well, see, when we're free in the immediacy of perception, we're free as all perceptions, no matter what they are. Quite an adventure, huh? And all this is without doing, with nothing needing to be done, without any effort, without anything needing to be done. Sometimes it sounds like this couldn't possibly be the case, that enlightenment, wow, enlightenment's really important, so that must require a lot of doing. It must require so much effort. I've had to effort all my life to learn to accomplish anything. I had to effort to learn to tie my shoes, and then I had to go to school. I had to learn to read, on and on and on. I had to grow up and come to terms with all my hormonal changes and all of these things, get married or not, go to college or not, get a job or not, seek enlightenment or not. All these things I've had to effort so hard to do. When it comes to enlightenment, it sounds like that would really require a lot of effort. But you see, enlightenment, already accomplished awakened awareness, doesn't need anything to get it going or to stoke it. It simply is. And this is why it can only be known without contrivance, without any contrivance whatsoever, just to rest. The ultimate meditation is naturally stable rest as the immediacy of every perception. This is the ultimate meditation. The meditation that includes all daily activities, without even the need to use the term meditation. We just call it relaxation, rest. Rest is best. Rest naturally. These are the mantras here. Awareness is all-inclusive, so it includes everything, including choices, plans, and actions. Yet it transcends all choices, plans, and actions. The distinction is that when we're all wrapped up in points of view as being the evidence of our reality, then our options are very limited. We only see those things that are associated with what we take ourselves to be as a personal identity. Whereas when we relax as all-inclusive awareness, then everything is included. So the options and choices are immense. And the plans, actions, and choices come from just the emanation of the benefit of awareness. See, each point of view, no matter what it is, its essence is beneficial intent, as it's never been anything other than awareness. Its essence is beneficial intent. But as long as we're wrapped up in the vivid appearance of the point of view only, without realizing that its essence is awareness, we only see less than part of reality. We see only the dictionary description of what's going on, when all the while each word in the dictionary has a hidden meaning that's not in any dictionary. It's in the Great Freedom Dictionary, but not any other dictionary. And that is the ultimate meaning of every word, is that it is awakened awareness. That's its essence. The constant in every word in the dictionary is awareness. The description would not be without awareness. So we could go through every single word in the dictionary. Awareness, 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 awareness. That's the constant. So when we rest as that constant in every perception, then more and more we realize everything about the vivid appearance. And awareness is completely beyond being involved in conversations like that. All a human being is self-knowing awareness. That's it. And it's just like when you flip on the light in a room at night, the light illuminates not only the room, but itself. Yesterday, you were talking to me about reality orientation in your work, the reality orienting someone to who they are through reminding them of see if they know their name and date and what date it is and all of that. Well, all of that's fine with someone, reality orientation, but unless the ultimate reality orientation of awareness is affirmed for someone, then they'll still be continually lost in points of view. So even when it comes to an area like psychology, nothing is excluded. But when we're involved in helping people, we don't want to be reinforcing a whole system of points of view that never really works to relieve any pain. The only people I've ever seen get significantly better and able to deal with diagnoses they've had is to know that the essence of each of those perceptions is awareness, that there's something about them that is constant, no matter what the content of all their points of view. And some of these points of view can be very extreme, as those of you who are psychologists or former psychologists know. They can be very extreme, yet awareness is constant in everything, you know. So the movie A Brilliant Mind is a beautiful example of that. That here is someone of a great accomplishment and was able to accomplish many, many things, but still had all of these psychotic episodes. And when he learned of the underlying basis of all his perceptions, then he could live freely, even with all these extreme perceptions or points of view that came up. So see, it's no service whatsoever to try to help someone by reinforcing their points of view about the diagnosis they have and all of this, that, and the other thing. It can all be woven together, but awareness has to be the context, the only context of what's occurring. See, all people, no matter who they are, no matter what their psychiatric diagnosis, and I must say the most prevalent psychiatric diagnosis is the psychosis of point of view. It really is. So these other things are just kind of cooked up within that. But, you know, to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to help you by reinforcing your points of view about your diagnosis or whatever it is, that's so painful. You know, it has to have this context of awareness, the constant in each perception, awareness that is total love, love awareness, and supporting people and just resting as that, and supporting them in conclusively knowing that they are that no matter what's going on. That they are that, they are that, they are that, they always have been, always will be, that they can really count on that. We've seen this through the Great Freedom teaching. People who come to the teaching who have had severe psychiatric points of view, and then also people who come to the teaching who work in psychiatric hospitals and have been able to support the people in the hospitals and resting as awareness. And it's amazing. It's amazing how well it works. It's so simple. You know, it's so simple. And it's something that people can really count on. You know, they don't have to be in a special setting for it to work. So you see, everything's included. In any area of life, people can be served greatly as this context of awareness. We all want to feel satisfied, fulfilled, free from all the goings-on of our thinking and emotional states, no matter who we are, whether we have a psychiatric diagnosis or not. And that freedom can only come about through the rest as the essence of every perception, no matter who we are. So, you know, at this time in human history, more than ever, we really need to support each other in this. No matter who we are. There's no one who's excluded. Everyone already is all-inclusive awakened awareness. There's no one left out. It doesn't matter how dumb someone is or how brilliant they are or how psychotic they are or how pristine they are. You know, we're all awareness. It's the same awareness in everyone. It's just only one indivisible awareness. So when we support and affirm that in each other rather than all of our points of view about ourselves and each other, then we might have an opportunity for humankind to live at peace. We'll see. But at least right now, each of us can commit to that total freedom. You see, it doesn't exclude anything. Medications are awakened awareness too. There was an article in Tricycle, the Buddhist magazine, in 1998 on the use of psychiatric medications by Buddhist practitioners. And many of the greatest living Buddhist teachers were interviewed about the topic, and they all said conclusively that there are many people who would never even have the opportunity for enlightenment without the medication. So you see, everything's included. Nothing is not included. But to just give medication without affirming the reality, the constant in every perception as awareness it's really barbaric. It's just part of the realm of dualistic perception. Of a fixer and someone to be fixed. When we think we need to fix ourselves, then we think everybody else needs to be fixed too. So see, when the starting point is that no one needs to be fixed, then we start to learn a lot more about what being human really means. when we start with the reality of what everyone is, all-inclusive awakened awareness, rather than an ego, an identity, a fixated one, an identified one, or what. See, if that's the starting point, we really have no hope of ever realizing who we are. The starting point always is that we already are awake. We already are free. There's no one to be fixed, and no one to fix it. So we rest as each perception, as the heart essence of each perception. More and more we feel this incredible warmth arise in us. Rather than feeling that tension of living from point of view, we feel warmth. We feel an okayness. We feel a certainty, a certitude, and all rightness. And this is actually experienced as a physical warmth. And that warmth is warmth and compassion not only for ourselves, but for everyone. Everyone. So then, we can really come to terms with what's going on in our world. We can look at everything clearly without being afraid because we've transcended hope and fear. So we can look clearly at what's really going on in the world, and then we can rest and see how we can be a benefit in that regard. Because, there's so much going on in the world today that some of us don't even want to look at it. If we think about it for just 5 minutes, it's too much to handle if we're living from point of view. We look at, oh gosh, there's mounting tension all over the world, and these outbursts of terrorism and wars, increasing wars, nuclear missiles pointed everywhere. Everybody's got their missiles pointed at everybody else. 7% of the people using most of the world's resources, and everyone else in the world is increasingly getting mad at those who are using all the resources as they look around and see their friends and loved ones starving to death. The environmental disaster that's occurring, where the oceans are rising, the ozone layer is getting bigger, and what else is going on? Famine. Only 15% of the world's people have enough to eat. 40,000 children starve to death every day. So you see, we have solutions to these problems, but the solutions are beyond causality. We haven't been able to find the solutions because we've been living within the realm of causality, cause and effect, point of view. But there's a great reality beyond causality, and that reality beyond causality is who we are. We can only know it through this natural rest as each perception. We can never know it any other way. So, see, even when we think of these things that are so devastating that are going on in the world, whether they're social, economic, or environmental injustices, when we rest naturally as the immediacy of that perception that might seem so horrific, then we realize that that too has as its essence awakened awareness. The catastrophes aren't elsewhere other than awareness. The immediate perception of a catastrophe is awareness. Its essence is awareness. And when we rest as that essence, then we know exactly how to respond in the situation, no matter what it is. And sometimes, it can be very immediate. When 9/11 happened, the Great Freedom Sanctuary, which is where I was at the time, which is in Bolinas, California, I heard early in the morning through a telephone call that this had happened and was happening. And I went downstairs and I turned on the television and I watched a little bit of it. And then I just walked downtown into the small village, and everyone was just in a daze, totally stunned. And there were fighter planes patrolling the coast because the sanctuary is right on the west coast of the U.S. So planes were flying back and forth 24/7, this constant drone of airplanes. And usually we don't hear that there. And so, you know, what to do? Everyone's dazed and helpless and feeling powerless, not knowing what to do. Many of us felt like this, you know, many of us felt like this. And all we can do in a situation like that is rest as awareness and support each other in doing so. Or I could see that it was very difficult for most people to rest. It was just impossible. All that could be done was constantly talking about what was going on and who was right and who was wrong. But when we rest as awareness, there's just this immense reality of compassion for what's occurring, and then some kind of response to that, whether it's praying that everyone develop a balanced view of awareness, or that was part of what I was involved in at the time. You know, there's just this immense compassion that embraces the totality. But then, you know, there were also all my friends and neighbors who were all mostly wrapped up in the stories about right and wrong, good and bad. So I just started baking. I'm called the Queen of Desserts where I live. I started baking. I baked cakes. I baked cookies. I baked anything I could find to bake. And then I'd take it out to everybody. You know, everybody likes a nice sweet treat. So you never know what the response of awareness will be, but it isn't self-centered, you know. What good is it going to do to get all wrapped up in the stories about everything? We need to just rest naturally, come together as humankind, and find the peace zone that is who we are. And then we can have peace in the world. When everyone's a peace zone, the whole world will be a peace zone. And all this is in the natural rest of awareness. Natural rest as awareness is natural peace. We don't have to do anything to get it. We already are that. But if we haven't been relaxed, then we just need to relax. And if you don't even want to relax, if you're sick of doing anything, you're just totally fed up with trying to get enlightened, just keep coming here. And conviction will dawn. It definitely will, no matter what kind of a hard case you think you are. Oh yeah, I'm the one who'll never get enlightened. If you're thinking something like that, then you're in the right place. You see, it doesn't matter what you've done. Say you've done some hideous thing that no one even knows about in your life, and you're never going to tell anybody either. Well, rest naturally as all your memories about that. Just rest as awareness. The awareness is the essence of that hideous thing, too. And when you rest as the essence of awareness, you'll come completely to terms with whatever that is. No one's excluded from awareness, just like the people who wake up on death row. You know, maybe they've done all kinds of things, but they have the incredible opportunity to come into contact with someone who gives a direct message of freedom that is inclusive of everything, including murderers. You see, freedom, the freedom of a murderer and the freedom of the greatest being who ever lived, they're all equal. Awareness is awareness, whether it's Mother Teresa or whoever your favorite schmuck is. That was the only word I could think of to use. Don't know where that came from, but but anyway, you know, we each usually have our favorite, the one who's the real bad guy. It's usually a guy. The one who's the real bad guy. But they're awakened awareness too, just like Mother Teresa or anyone else. It's a treasure chest, a treasury. And within that treasury, all its points of view are wish-fulfilling gems. So we, as self-knowing awareness, when we are awareness as a perception, as a point of view, the point of view is a wish-fulfilling gem in that it will be whatever we take it to be. We are the treasure trove. We are the basic space of all points of view. When we rest as that aware basic space, we see each wish-fulfilling gem not only as its appearance, but as awakened awareness as that appearance. If we only see it as the appearance, that's the wish-fulfilling gem. That's the wish-fulfilling gem of the appearance only, the dictionary label or the dictionary description. When we rest, we know that the essence of every perception is awareness. It's all up to us, really. Sometimes we think, oh gosh, I really want someone to do it for me. But it is all up to us. It really is. The more we just rest as we are, the more the idea, the whole point of view of a personal identity, it just dissolves. It resolves in aware basic space. The I is synonymous with awareness, with all-inclusive awareness. I and all-inclusive awareness are synonymous. So if right now you take yourself to be an I, a real personal identity, an accumulation of points of view, just rest. And you don't have to get rid of the I, smash it, dissolve it, annihilate it, because the I is only a point of view. It's never been anything other than awareness. And when you just rest, naturally all of a sudden you might say one day, where is the I? Where's that I thought I was? That's all we are, self-knowing awareness. And the whole display of human life, that's its only purpose, for awareness to know itself. There's never been an individual I or chooser or identity. Exactly, yeah, as self-knowing awareness, yeah. If we're trying to fix some kind of a personal identity, then we have to build a construct of a personal identity. We say, oh, this is a personal identity, this is an ego, and this is a psychology, and it includes all of these other points of view. But these entities, they're not entities, they're just other points of view. If we say there is an ego or a personal identity, then the position we've taken is one of duality, that there is an identity or an ego, and over here's awareness. But all the while, just when the point of view of I comes up, it's awareness as I. When the point of view of ego comes up, it's awareness as the point of view of ego. But all the words and labels, no matter what they are a vast reality of equalness, a vast reality of equalness without differentiation or exclusion. The Great Freedom teaching cuts through the solidity of all points of view. The Great Freedom teaching begins with the starting point that we all already are, awareness, in which any kind of fixed identity has never occurred. It's just awareness inclusive of all points of view, no matter what it is. Self-knowing awareness, that's all a human being is. Every other thing we've learned about ourselves is a belief system or assumption that is secondhand knowledge. It's something we've adopted from someone else. Someone told us that we are an ego or a psychology or a brain and a neurological system and a physiology, and that our biological functioning is really what we are, and that biological functioning is born and then it dies, and that's the sum total of it. And all of these things, though, are adopted from other people. When we just rest as our awareness, we know ourselves as we really are. We really know ourselves as we are. And then more and more we see that all these notions we may have had are simply points of view that we adopted and took ourselves to be those things, when all the while all we are is awareness with all points of view included. When we rest naturally as awareness, we have complete knowing of the totality. In other words, we, as awareness, are the complete knowing of the totality of all points of view without anything excluded, including a personal identity. But if we only take ourselves to be a personal identity, we'll be completely lost in that. When we rest as awareness, we realize we are the complete enjoyment body of all-inclusive awakened awareness. And then we completely understand the purpose of our own existence and the absolute adventure that it is to live a human life. We're all vivid appearances of awareness. We're vivid appearances of awareness as ourselves. So when we just rest naturally as that, as the essence of that, or the ground of being, which is awakened awareness, then we completely relax all of our ideas about who we've taken ourselves to be. We know ourselves as all-inclusive awakened awareness rather than as only a personal identity. So it's as simple as that. We include ourselves, but often the assumption is that awareness is dependent on the body, but actually the body is dependent on awareness. So you see, that's the distinction. When we rest naturally, we learn something quite wondrous, and that is that the perception of being someone, the point of view of being someone, hardly ever occurs to us. It's much more obvious. Awareness is much more obvious than that incidental perception we have of being somebody. Very seldom does it ever occur to us, hey, I am somebody. Hey, I am somebody. I'm Bob, or I'm Kabira. You know, awareness is primary. Awareness is primary. Awareness is primary in every perception. Without awareness, none of the perceptions would be. Not a single one. No point of view would be without awareness. Point of view is very tiring if that's all we think is real. It's very tiring and it's aging. It's very aging. So, we need lots of sleep at night and lots of distractions. But when we realize that all the points of view are awareness, it's tremendously energizing. We find that we have immense power and force, that we have a potency in us that is beyond anything that can ever be known when we're wrapped up in all our points of view. If a notion of enlightenment excludes a personal identity, then it's an extreme. Yeah, it's an extreme point of view. But awareness includes everything. It includes everything. The treasure of us and the treasure of our life as a human being is that we're the only being that has this, by the way. We have self-knowing awareness. No other being has that. So the great adventure of the life of every human being is to realize that we are that each of us is that each of us is that self-knowing awareness. And when we realize that we really are that self-knowing awareness that is entirely indivisible, our own identity takes on a richness. It's a richness because if we only take ourselves to be a point of view, we're a finite personal identity. And our personal identity is the accumulation of all our points of view. In other words, everything we've ever thought, every emotional state we've ever had, every action we've ever undertaken. And so we can call this an accumulation of points of view or an accumulation of memories. What a living hell, to take ourselves to be that. And then we're constantly trying to sort it out and make it, have it make sense. Oh, I've got to get better emotional states or better thoughts or better actions. So all of our life is spent in doing within this little clot of personal identity. But when we begin to see that, well, our real identity is all-inclusive awakened awareness, and we rest as that, then more and more we see that all these things we've taken ourselves to be, they're all awareness, that all we've ever been is awareness. And with that, there's a tremendous freedom as all-inclusive awakened awareness that includes our personal identity. As we relax, we find much greater ease in all our interactions in life, no matter where they are, whether it's making love, eating food, working, romancing, having relationships. No matter where it is in life, we find a growing ease. And we find that all these things, whether we've perceived them to be inward or outward, that no matter how far we look into them, there's nothing but vast space. So you see, it's wondrous. It's wondrous that we can say, oh, what was there suddenly isn't there anymore. And, so it's, we can't say that it's really either impersonal or personal. There's really nothing we can say about it. All I can say is that it's complete enjoyment. It's complete enjoyment and this immense emanation of benefit. So, I can't imagine, I can't even cook up a point of view about what it would be like to live the way I once lived, where my whole life was focused on my success and the benefit of my family and, just this very close little idea of what was going on. And I was also very involved in community volunteer work, but it was so much doing, trying to develop and cultivate something that's already inherent. No matter how much good work I did, I never felt like a good worker. No matter how good of a parent I tried to be, I never felt like a good parent. But when the shift happened for me almost 25 years ago, when I realized suddenly who I have always been, then it was just so clear. It was so clear. Well, everyone is that. My children, they're awakened awareness. They can realize awakened awareness. They have just as much an opportunity to realize it as I do. My husband, who I thought was a mixed bag of elements, of some things I liked, other things I didn't like, some things I was ongoingly resentful about. Well, I didn't need to take him to be an accumulation of points of view. Once I no longer saw myself as an accumulation of points of view, I didn't see him or anyone else that way either. So it's very practical. And it doesn't exclude the things we enjoy in life.